Welcome back everybody to the fourth part of this tutorial series where we're creating a landing page using Tailwind CSS, HTML, and vanilla JavaScript. So in the previous part we've created this, which is a simple hero section, and we focused on creating this information bar here. So in this part of the tutorial, the mini course, we want to fix uh, one issue. That is that this information bar is not actually responsive. So as you can see here, it's not responsive. It's not good to look at on small screen sizes. So how do we fix this? The fix is actually very simple, and it only requires one class, one Tailwind class to fix everything. That is, we can come here and say flex wrap. What this does is when the content is too much for the screen to handle, the lines will break and one box will be stacked over another. So here you can see it fixed. So when it is too much to handle for the screen, the flex box will not be straight, but rather one of them would be breaking down. We can see it illustrated here. And when there's not enough space for even two, it breaks even further. So one more thing is we want to say gap 4 and on medium sizes, actually on small sizes. So on small sizes gap 4 and on larger sizes gap 8. This is 16 pixels. This is 32 pixels. So uh, yeah, right. So now this is what we wanted, and we can move on to the part which most of you, I believe, were interested in. The part which we've been talking about for so long, which is this gradient here. It's not actually hard. You might have the perception that this is something very advanced. We're going to need so much SVG and stuff like that, but it's actually very simple. So what we have to do is go here on the top, outside everything, just below the body. We create a div, okay? Inside this div will be the container for the whole gradient, and this div will be the actual gradient. So let's say class and say w 150 pixels. So width of 150 pixels, and we want it to be a circle. So in order to make it a circle, we can say edge 150 pixels, since a circle is equals in both height and width. But there's a better way to do that, and that's aspect square, which makes the height equal to the width. Now it's fine if if you use edge 150, but I just want to show you other aspects of Tailwind CSS. So I'm going to be using this class, and it is more future proof, and if you want to make it responsive, this will make it easier. So I highly recommend it. So moving on, we have to uh, do rounded full to make it a circle instead of a square. Then we have, if we save it right now, we don't see anything but a big black area here. Instead, we have to say bt gradient to b to bottom. So we need to give it a background color, and it's going to be gradient, as you can see here. So it's from violet 700 to the color, the reddish color we have been using, which is this one, FF4954. So if we save, we have this circle over here. Now, obviously, this is not how we want to portray it, and uh, this is not the correct layout. So instead, what we're going to be doing is that we will go to the container and say uh, position static. Actually, it is it. position fixed, then we will say inset 0. Also edge screen w full. And if we want to say w full, obviously we have to go to the body and position relative it. So what does this do? It's very simple. Position fixed make it so that the container will sit behind the body and it will be fixed onto a certain position. So if we scroll, or if we, for example, if we scroll here, it stays where it is because it's already position fixed, and its position is literally fixed. And we're making it inset 0 so that it just fills the container and it's on the top left corner. Continuing on, edge screen makes it take the whole height of the screen, and W full makes it take the whole width of the container, which is the body. So that's why we needed relative here. Now, it might work without relative in some cases, even if we say that. It might work. And you know what? I'm going to remove that relative fully. But it's good to have it since some browser versions I know can have issues with it not being here. Uh, let's just continue. Let's just move on. Now, it is obvious to see that we need to center the circle, right? So this is very simple. The simplest thing we're going to be doing today, and it's it's grid to make it display grid, and place content center. Now it should be at the center. Now you can see that the circle is actually covering our content, and we don't want that. We actually want is that the circle needs to be behind everything, behind the content. So simply we say we go here and say z minus z9, and okay, so minus z9 here, and now everything is behind. So now the gradient is behind the content. Okay, great. Now one last thing remains, and it's the most obvious thing, is that it's not actually a gradient, a blurred gradient. It is a gradient, but it's flat. It doesn't have the effect that this has. So what we're going to do is simply we're going to create a new div. What is the job of this div, you may ask? This is a div to cover the whole circle and to blur it. So it will sit in front of the circle, blurring it. It's very simple. So first, let's make it work. Let's say, uh, let's say W fill and height fill and BG red 700 just to test. So the fill, okay, not fill, full. Okay, still not working. That's because this is not relative or anything. So let's try to make it double screen and screen. And now it works and it's covering everything. But there is one problem, and that is that this is not being positioned absolutely. So we can't do relative here to position this absolutely. So you gotta be a bit smart about this, and we have to put this inside its own div and say relative. And here we can say absolute inset 0 to place it on the top right corner. So now that we have this sort of layout and uh, it's covering the whole circle, we don't actually need the BG7 red 700. Instead, we're going to be doing something a bit more exciting. We're actually going to do backdrop blur, okay? And if we only leave it like this, you can see that it's actually blurring the circle. So, but this is not enough. So we just have to give it an extension and blur it by 300 pixels. So 300 pixels gives it some kind of shadowy feel. Uh, but I think I changed these, right? So it's 150 pixels and the actual circle will be 300 pixels. So now if we do that, voila, this is uh, what we've been working towards, right? This is a gradient which makes our design suddenly more modern, and you could see this kind of design in many modern websites today. So it is actually fully responsive and even looks better in small screens. And actually, uh, when we scroll, the gradient stays behind, it doesn't move. This is the fixed position. So I think that gives it a nice feel. What's left is actually nothing is left here regarding the hero section. We will be moving to other parts of the website in the upcoming parts. Obviously, there's this part uh, and this part, which is these two are very, this especially, I think is very interesting. You might not, it might not look much, but it's actually a very interesting part. So, yeah, also, I'm not sure that you would want to see how to change the font to be Bebas here. That's the font we've been using in the design, but in the actual website here, we're using the regular sans serif. So if you want me to show you how to do this, just comment it down below. The reason I'm not showing you now by default is that I think uh, I'm sharing the actual code. Every part of every tutorial's code is being posted on Tailwind, which is this website here, tailwind.onrender.com. And as always, I'll be leaving the link to the source code of today's video down below in the description. So, but you can just go there and just click this, copy, and both the HTML and JavaScript are provided. So this is the for the last part. While once this video is uploaded, the this part's video source code is already released. So just go and get the source code from there if you want. But it's not easy to also share how to import Google Fonts and do all that stuff. So that's not the reason why I haven't been sharing the source code, the way to make this work, the font Vivas. So if you want, if you want to actually see about if you're maybe if you're new to development and you don't have the idea of how to change the font, I'll be glad to show you. Just comment it down below, and I'll in the next video I'm gonna be showing you how to do it. But uh, thank you for watching. Uh, the support on this series has been incredible. As always, I'll be uploading the next part, and I think the next part will be focusing on this here, the sponsors or supporters or trust symbols section. Yeah, so today we built a gradient. I hope you enjoyed, you learned something from it, and until the next time, goodbye.